I'll start with a little spiel on Boots to Books while folks get in, and then Anna, kick it over to you and we can go from there.
Sounds good.
Cool. So to everyone joining right now, thank you so much. I know some folks have backgrounds in advertising, some have never even considered a career in the field. So I think this will be a really, really cool opportunity to learn more, specifically about the various career opportunities there are in advertising at a really cool company like Publicis. And so this event's hosted by Boots to Books. For those who are not familiar with Boots to Books, you've probably gotten a bunch of emails from us. So hopefully you've clicked into one of them and learned a little bit more. But we're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, so everything we do is completely free to you. We have events like this where you can meet awesome companies who are looking to hire military talent. We also have scholarships. So every single month we give out Google Career certifications. Every quarter we give out $1,000 scholarships for you to get a certification of your choice. And then we also have amazing hiring fairs like the one on November 15th, where there will be 11 amazing companies specifically coming to hire military talent. We have three, I think, big things before the end of the year, aside from this event. I'm trying to remember, but I often forget. So not only do we have a hiring fair and another scholarship coming up, we also have an event with Stryker, the med device firm. And I think that's it. Shamiri, did I miss something?
Yeah, I was just gonna state the striker event because yeah, it was that and the hiring fair for sure. And then
Cool.
our certs.
Okay, cool. Well, I typically forget something, so it looks like I passed today. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Anna. Anna, we are recording. We'll shoot it out to about 80 folks post-event, and everyone here will get a recording. So don't try and take rapid fire notes or anything of the sort. You will get the recording. Without further ado, Anna, thank you so much for joining us. And for those who are not familiar with Anna, she has been a great partner of Boots to Books for some time now. They have both hired several folks from us in the past. They've also given some really, really great opportunities to learn about advertising in the past. So, Anna, without further ado, I'll kick it off to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Peter. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for registering to learn more about Publicis Media. I'm so excited to be here. We've had many successful events and many talented hires come out of Boots to Books. So I'm sure that we will certainly be able to connect with many more bright professionals through this call. So just to briefly reintroduce myself, my name is Anna Crow. I am an early career senior recruiter with Publicis Media. I am located out of our Chicago office, so I do much of our entry level and internship level recruiting out of the Chicago, Los Angeles, and Michigan regions. And then I have colleagues who focus on the East Coast, so I'll be sure to provide their contact information once we get towards the end of our conversation today. I'm also the veteran hiring lead here at Publicis Media. And really the reason why I decided to embark on this initiative when I first started 3.5 years ago is because I have many friends who are in the military who have expressed that the transition is something that can kind of be uncertain. And I'm in a unique position to be able to assist with that. And I think that also when you are in the military, you don't always know the scope of possibility, especially within an industry like advertising. But I think it's important to highlight what transferable skills and experience really apply to this space. So we're going to do that today. But before we dive into all that, just want to introduce the full team. Obviously, I've just introduced myself, and there's also Jacqueline Ferguson, who is an early career senior recruiter on the team, and Tanzita Ahmed, who is an early careers recruiter. She was recently promoted from recruiting associate. So very happy for Tanzita. And so this is the full early careers team. If you were to go through the hiring process with us on the entry level or within the internship space, this is the team that you would be working with. And then these two ladies are also the ones who focus on the East Coast roles. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so as we get started, I just wanted to give a brief overview of what our agency consists of because it is a very large corporation. So essentially, the company is comprised of several different brands, such as Spark Foundry, Starcom, CJ, Zenith, Publicis Collective. And the reason we have all of these brands is to allow us to maintain clientele who do not have to have concerns for their privacy or direct competition within similar industries. So what the company focuses on is these 5 practices: commerce, data sciences, performance, content, and PMX. PMX refers to purchasing ad space in bulk, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But essentially what all these practices are they are contributing to our media planning, media buying, and media performance services that are offered to clients through our advertising efforts. We are a very large company with over 23,000 employees worldwide. We are present in over 100 countries and almost every continent except for Antarctica. But hey, the company is always growing, so you never know. The values that Publicis focuses on are trust, talent, and transformation. And I think that these 3 values are really important, not only to Publicis, but also to those who are in the military or transitioning out. So we'll also kind of go over what that looks like within the organization. So I'm going to briefly describe some of these different brands that are under Publicis Media that you could potentially be working with if you were hired. So the first is Spark Foundry, which is known as the brand that brings heat to other brands. And what heat technically stands for is higher engagement, affinity, and transactions. So in other words, they are working through their campaigns to kind of provide more of an innovative approach, something that's, a little bit more, friendly within the space to get people to engage more with our advertising and products and services. We are headquartered out of Chicago. Please note that although these brands will mention that they're headquartered in one specific area, we do have locations across the nation. So that includes Chicago, Los Angeles, Birmingham, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Dallas, Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta. The list goes on. We have 3,000 global employees, and my little box is covering global offices. 42 global offices. Clients you're definitely going to recognize here are Molson Coors, Southwest, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Starbucks. So I'm sure that you all probably know one, if not all of those brands. Kind of just going back to the heat piece. Have you ever seen Taco Bell or Wendy's advertising campaigns? That kind of speaks to, the camaraderie and the heat that this brand likes to bring through their campaigns. And the last thing I'll leave you with on Spark Foundry is that for a very long time, they were much smaller than 3,000 global employees, very much embodying the spirit of a startup. And when they were acquired by Publicis, they were able to take on the powerhouse soul of all of our resources as a huge corporation. So they really like to pride themselves on maintaining the same approach of a startup while having all of those helpful resources. The next brand I'm going to talk about is Starcom, which is known as the Human Experience Company. They've done a lot of really fun, famous campaigns. So I'll speak to my favorite shortly. But they're also headquartered out of Chicago with 6,500 global employees and 130 global offices. Clients here that you'll see: Kellogg's, Samsung, ESPN, McDonald's. So my favorite campaign with Starcom was with Samsung. And so obviously in this day and age, we have a million versions of the iPhone, a million versions of the Galaxy phone. So a lot of us find ourselves asking, what's really the real difference? Is it worth it to continue to buy this new technology? And so what Samsung did was they were able to create a campaign in partnership with the Jimmy Fallon show, where they recorded and broadcasted an entire episode of Jimmy Fallon from the new Galaxy from the new Galaxy phone. So I think that just speaks to how creative decision making can come into play, give you opportunities to work with public figures and brands that maybe you had never imagined that you'd be able to work with, especially when you're just coming into the field. So really cool. I really love that campaign. Zenith is known as the ROI agency, which stands for Return on Investment. They are headquartered out of New York with 6,000 global employees and 95 global offices. Some of these clients you'll see are definitely a little bit more tech and streaming related. So we've got Verizon, Disney, Hulu, which recently combined, TikTok, Inspire Brands. If some of you are big fans of J.M. Smucker's peanut butter, they're housed under Inspire Brands, for example. And Zenith really prides themselves on being effective problem solvers. They are constantly coming up with innovative ideas, solutions, strategies, and bringing them to life through their campaigns. PHM differs from the other three. PHM stands for Publicis Health Media. So Publicis Health Media focuses on more of the health and wellness or healthcare related clientele. So that is why you will not see the clients listed here. Those industries are just a little bit more confidential. So we are not going to list them here today, but if you are interested in advertising within the health and wellness, healthcare, pharmaceutical space, PHM is probably one of the brands that you want to pay attention to. They are headquartered out of Philadelphia and New York City with 650 global employees, which is rapidly growing, and 4 global offices. They are also the leading health media agency in the United States. So, therefore, I think that really speaks to how effective our campaign planning and media buying is under PHM. So I'm going to talk about the next 2 brands, and I also just want to call out that these are a bit different from the other brands in the sense that the services offered are slightly different. They really focus more on the media buying side of things versus the media planning side. So Apex is headquartered out of New York City with less than 350 global employees and 30 global offices. You're going to see some repeat clients here. And the reason for that is because Apex and this next brand that I'll talk about shortly are our practice brands, which means they are servicing our clients across the board, proactively identifying ad space that we can purchase at a negotiated lower rate that clients otherwise wouldn't be able to access without our services. And essentially what we do is we will purchase that with Publicis dollars, and we will go ahead and offer it to clients across the board who can purchase it at an extra cost. So this is more of an a la carte service. But again, this just really helps them to maximize engagement, maximize their campaign, and it also brings a little bit of ROI back to the company. So that's a little bit about Apex, and PMX operates very similarly, but it's a bit larger. So we have them headquartered in New York City with 7,000 global employees, and they are actually the #1 US media buyer and #2 global media buyer. That #2 global media buyer is definitely a huge one, just when you kind of recognize what that impact really means. Publicis Collective is our brand that focuses on the performance marketing side. So they're headquartered out of Chicago and Detroit with 600 global employees and 6 global offices. Some of their larger client accounts include Stellantis, Chick-fil-A, Ancestry. Pernod Ricard is not on this list, but I think it should be because that's definitely a really fun brand to work with. We also had Performix and Collective, which were previously separate agencies, combined to become the Performance Accelerator for Publicis Group. CJ is a little bit different as well from some of these other brands, as they focus more on the affiliate marketing side of advertising. So if you're somebody who is more interested in the client partnerships or influencer marketing side of things, then CJ is a brand that you might want to pay attention to. They are our only brand headquartered out of Santa Barbara with 800 global employees and 14 global offices. I believe they also have an office in Boston, if anybody is located up that way. Clients that they have include Blue Apron, Wayfair, Nike. So obviously, those are some really big clients. And then CJ is the global leader in digital marketing technology with a specialization in affiliate marketing. Okay, so that about summarizes all of our different brands under Publicis Media. So if you were to apply to an associate level opportunity, you would have the opportunity to be considered for any of those brands. So important to note is that the associate role is fully entry level. So when you're applying to this, our focus is on your transferable skills rather than relevant media experience. So when I think about that, or when you all think about that, on a soft skills side, we're really looking for time management skills, effective communication, project management skills, attention to detail, comfortability with client facing. And on more of the hard skills side, we definitely value any Excel proficiency, but it is not a requirement, or any level of analytical work that you've done. If you've gained any certifications in Google Analytics, for example, that's something that we would really value in your application. So that's just a little bit on skills that we technically require or look for when we are taking a look at applications. So kind of the way that our opportunities work is that they're separated by two buckets. There's media planning and then there's media buying. So what media planning refers to is the process of planning an advertising campaign for a client. So what you need to do as a media planner is essentially decide who, what, where, when, why does an advertising campaign need to be seen? What audience needs to be targeted? Why do they need to be targeted? When, which platforms, and so forth. So as they generate that plan, they also are responsible for analyzing results and taking a look at how well performance is for the campaign or where there's areas of opportunity, and are responsible for sharing that with the client on a regular basis. And it's also important to take into consideration what the client's goals are for the campaign. So that's something that you factor into your decision-making process. And as you work through these campaigns and you receive your research insights, that will help you to plan accordingly for future campaigns. So that's a little bit about media planning. On the media buying side, what you're doing is you're actually the person going out and buying the ad space needed to run the campaign. So I like to think of it like building a house. The house is the advertising campaign, and what you need to build the house is land. So land is the ad space. So what our buyers do is they will work with vendors across different channels. And so this includes video, social, audio, digital. There's paid search and paid social opportunities as well. And so essentially you will work with vendors to negotiate the cost of this ad space. And the name of the game is to try to negotiate these costs to be as low as we can possibly get them with as much engagement maximized as possible. And they also work in tandem with the planners to determine billing and campaign reconciliation. One other thing about the associate level position, so if you are interested in either the media planning, buying, or performance side of things, then you would apply to a general associate application within your region. And once you have a phone screen scheduled with myself or one of my colleagues who I had introduced at the beginning, we would work to align you to an open position. So each of those brands that I spoke to you about will, on a rolling basis, typically on a weekly basis, will submit new opportunities that need to be filled for each client team. So what we do during the initial interview is we really take into consideration what your interests are, your preferences, and of course your skill set, your background. And then we take a look at, what business needs you would be the best fit for at that time. Then we would present that opportunity to you specifically, providing detailed information on the day-to-day, the client, the brand, and so on, so that you can really determine whether that's the opportunity that you fully want to move forward with. And then if you do decide to, there is just one additional interview. It's a 30-minute video interview with a potential team member. So we do not drag out our interview processes by any means, and we really work to align you to roles which we feel that, your existing experience and interests for the future would be best aligned. Something else that's unique about the associate opportunity is that all of our associates are automatically enrolled to what's called the Publicis Media training program. So I do just want to call out that if you are enrolled in this training program, it means that you have been hired full time and you are being paid salary. So it's not a situation where you go through the training program and then you have to perform really well to ultimately be offered a position. You've already been offered a position if you're in this program. So it is a 12-week program that takes place 3 times a year. So for the first 6 weeks, you're enrolled in virtual classroom training, where part 1, you're learning critical skills such as Excel 101, PowerPoint 101, media math, difficult conversations, email etiquette, and so on. And then you will go into part 2, where you're taught all of the different sides of media. So you'll learn about strategy, investment, data analytics, paid search and social, programmatic, and so forth. So this just really helps you understand how your role fits into the company and how all of the other roles that are offered are sort of working in tandem. Then once you complete that first part, that first 6 weeks, you'll go into the second part, which is another 6 weeks. So you're placed into a group to perform a group research project. And essentially what this is going to be a mock campaign for a client. And each of you are given unique responsibilities. And then at the end of this period, you'll go ahead and present your project to your class, which is typically around 80 to 100 people per class. And then usually, if we have some really good projects presentations, then we will have our senior leadership sit in on another presentation for the project, and they have been known to pull research insights and use them in really important client campaigns. This is a great networking opportunity. It's a great learning opportunity. It's a great growth opportunity. Something else that we offer is the Publicis Media internship program, which is very, very similar process to our associate application process. But this takes place over the summer. Typically the first week of June to the second week of August is the timeline. So it is 10 weeks, 40 hours a week, and it is paid between $18 to $20 per hour, depending on the region that you're in. And what this does is it essentially allows you to work on a client team for those 10 weeks, performing in the background. So different internships are media, multicultural media, data and analytics, research. There's also strategy, content. Investment is not on here, but that's a big one. Human resources, corporate communications. So if you're interested in more of the public relations side of the industry, we do offer a few of those internships. So as you're working with these client teams, you're essentially going to be working alongside the associates or senior associates, assisting them with their day-to-day, and you're also given a project to work on, and it's typically surrounded it's typically more of a research-oriented project. So it really allows you to get that hands-on experience. You will participate in lunch and learns where you get to learn from seasoned professionals in the industry. We do field trips, and we have some extra programming that comes from that training program that I was just talking about. So this is a really great opportunity for you to just try your hand if you're not sure if this is something that you want to commit to full time yet. So another really important piece here is our benefits and our commitment to health and wellness and work-life balance. So the first thing I want to highlight is on the right, all the way at the bottom, vacation time. So Publicis offers unlimited pay time off to all of our employees immediately upon start. So that's real. We have no set limit or a minimum of days that we can or cannot take off. Really, the only requirement around it is that you're maintaining effective communication with your team around any planned absences, or, if an emergency comes up, obviously make sure you let your team know. We also have some other paid time off options, such as Identity Day, which is a floating holiday for employees to use for cultural or religious holidays. It can also be used for a mental health day. We offer sick time. There are 12 days available annually. We have 1 paid day to volunteer annually, and so on. I think also something that I want to highlight is our flexible parental and family care leave. All regular employees are eligible for up to 12 paid weeks off. We also have a pet adoption stipend. Let's say that you just moved to a new place. You don't know anybody there, you adopt a pet. The company will reimburse you up to $100 towards that. And you can work from home for 5 days to bond with them. So I think that's kind of cute, just speaks to the pupil-oriented this. We offer tuition reimbursement at a little bit over $5,000 tax-free immediately upon your start, so long as your education's continued in a relevant field. And then we also have health, wellness, and comfort reimbursement up to $250 towards really anything under the health and wellness umbrella annually. So for me, that this year included my beautiful Stanley Cup. But in previous years, it's been shoes, air fryer. You can use this for gym memberships, massage, you name it. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is the commitment to DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion. The company is a very diverse company, and I think that the reason that we are that way and how we support that is through our business resource groups, which are technically, they're very similar to a club or a committee within the organization. And these are attributed to different social causes, heritages, communities, and there are several different communities that are present here. So Conscious Mind is a group I'm a part of for mental health. This group will offer virtual yoga, meditations, vision board sessions. Egalite is for the LGBTQ plus community to find allyship. We have Ola for our Hispanic community to gather. I took a bachata class once with them. Wasn't very good, but I learned nonetheless. We also have the Men of Color Alliance, who have a partnership with Snapchat. So that kind of goes to show that you can receive additional networking and professional opportunities through being a member of these groups. We've got pub parents who they're bringing their kids into work every so often, and just finding mutual success together. And then, of course, important to highlight here is our Pub Vets group, which is a place for our transitioned veterans, military spouses, caretakers to also find allyship and also hold events representing the company. We have Viva Women, which offers financial literacy courses, nutrition courses, and really just a space for women to support each other. We also have this version for women of color. So this doesn't cover all of the groups, but it does encompass many of, I think, the important ones. And if there's a group here that you don't see, we always encourage new groups. And that about concludes the presentation today. So I hope you all were able to learn a lot. I have our early careers email list pulled up here. So if you are interested in gaining some information on internships, future opportunities, or just generally the company, feel free to opt into this. You can just go ahead and scan the QR code. There's only a few questions that are asked, such as your name, your email, the organization that you're coming through. I've also listed the emails of my team down below so that you guys can pull those. And you're more than welcome to send us an email with any questions, comments, concerns at any point. We want to be a resource to you. We want to connect with you. So please do feel free to reach out. I will be sharing this slide and our emails once we wrap up. So do keep in mind that even though I'm going to stop sharing my screen, you guys will be able to access that later. So yeah, I think at this point, our panelists should be here. We have a veteran employee, Nate Turfey, with us, and then we also have a recruiter from CJ, Alexis Martin, who has been a huge help in supporting veterans in the last few years. So let's go ahead and open up the floor to Nate and Alexis. Hi, Nate and Alexis. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Anna.
How are we doing? How are you guys?
Doing good. Excited to be here. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday, indeed. Okay, so just to kind of kick us off on the panel, I would love for both of you to just briefly introduce yourselves. Let's go ahead and, if relevant, include your military branch or your degree, what your current role is, and where you're located.
Nate, you want to go first?
Go ahead, please.
Me? Okay, so
Yes.
my name is Alexis. I have been at CJ for almost 5 years now. It's so crazy. I actually started in their Santa Barbara office pre-COVID, and now I'm actually in Boise, Idaho. So I am working remotely. I'm sorry, Anna, did I miss something?
No, I think you got it.
Okay, great.
Take it away.
My name is Nate. I am on. I just got here about a year ago. I just started working for a new account, and I just got moved over. It's been a great pleasure so far working. I'm currently in the Chicago office as well.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you both. So now that we have introduced both of our panelists, let's go ahead and kick it off. So first things first, can you guys share what initially attracted you to the media industry and how your military or educational background influenced your decision to transition to the field?
Sure. Mine actually was just about a year ago. And I was
Right,
actually,
we met you at a recruiting event.
yeah, you sent me a message and I responded back to it.
That's right.
It's been about a year. It's been a great pleasure so far, and I mean I haven't seen any other company actually offer such a remarkable volunteering options where they're actually reaching out and doing proactive work. So I've had a great pleasure in the last year, and I hope to see more of it as I go forward.
Great.
Yeah, on my end, my best friend was actually working for Epsilon at my time. She referred me, which is a great way. I think Publicis has a lot of referrals throughout, which is another really great benefit we offer. But I just had no idea, honestly, about the world of digital marketing and how many different aspects there are. It's like a whole world in itself, and it's been really exciting. I think a skill just from like previous experience, life in general, that's helped me succeed here would be adaptability because it is a fast-paced industry. It's a big company. CJ specifically is technology, so we are changing all the time. So just being someone that's adaptable, can roll with the punches, never getting too stuck in our ways, and always being open-minded.
Great. Yeah, definitely good skills to have when you're transitioning in. And I think that that's a good way to segue into this question here. So, what unique skills or perspectives from your military experience, or Alexis, for your educational background, have you found especially valuable in the media role specifically? Nate, do you want to take that one?
Sure, I'll take that one. So right before coming here, I was supervisor in the arms room. And most of my day to day was keeping things in inventory. It looks like somebody knows about the arms room life. A lot of it was a inventory, making sure everything was placed exactly where it needs to be. And as my current role right now, making sure all the buys are committed and correctly trafficked correctly. That's a big role of it, and being able to pick out if there is any kind of issues, any kind of error as quickly as somebody who's got intensive training and picking out some small details like this, it can be very crucial member to a team if used correctly.
Well said. Thank you.
Yeah, the attention to detail for sure, and the organizational piece and just time management. Just making sure, I mean, we have deadlines all the time, making sure we're aware of those, making sure we have our action plan to meet them. So that organizational piece, however you find it, like I have my notebook, I use Outlook, however, whatever works for you.
And just to add to that, I know that often, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, but you've been in situations where you're under immense pressure. And I can tell you that you will also work under pressure in the media, but it'll probably be a lot less pressure than what you're used to being under. So I'm sure that that could definitely be useful here. So moving forward, for veterans who are considering a similar career path, what would you say were the biggest challenges that you faced early on when transitioning into media? And then how did you overcome that?
Um, in the military, usually you were expected to say something. You're always expected to respond back to everything that was said. As for this, it was a little different. All the responsibilities, I can just call out one of my friends and say, "Hey, could you please give me some assistance?" And that aspect of it has brought me and helped me transition a little bit better into the civilian world as compared to when there was a task, you do it. While the brotherhood and everything is there in the military, it's sometimes difficult to speak out when you need some assistance. So in this case, asking for help was the biggest thing that I had to overcome coming over from the military side.
Yeah, definitely. It's learned, and when you come into a new role, a lot of the time, you want to make sure that people believe that you know what you're doing. But it's important to note that this is entry level, or it is internship level. So you're meant to ask questions here. You're meant to learn as much as you can. You're meant to be a sponge. So you do not have to carry any of your fear and questioning or, bringing up new ideas when you're in the media industry, which I think is wonderful. Alexis, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I don't have a military background, but I think just working at other companies, something that was really different about Publicis was the level of autonomy and trust we're given just inherently by our managers. I think that's definitely what's allowed me to grow, not having someone micromanage me or like second guess me. Like the trust was just given to me, which I think is amazing.
And something that we all value. So that, again, guys, going back to our values, trust, talent, transformation, they all work hand in hand. Okay, well, thank you both. Another question for you. Can you speak to the growth and the development opportunities that you have experienced in this industry? And then from there, what advice would you offer in advancing in the industry?
I can go first here. So I started at CJ as a coordinator and I'm now a manager. So I'm feeling really grateful that I was able to kind of work my way up out of the entry level. And now I'm in the mid level, which feels so great. It was the first company I was able to be promoted at. I think my biggest advice is always just ask for growth. Like if you want to grow, definitely talk to your manager about it. And that seems kind of like silly, but you would be so surprised about how many people are ready and they just don't say anything to their managers. So be your best advocate for yourself. And there's no harm in asking. There's always a plan, and you can always get there if you just let people know this is my goal and this is where I want to end up.
Just adding on quickly to that, learning abilities are a great part of Publicis Media. You get reimbursed for any kind of school that you're attending if you've applied it, and it's within the little over $5,000 limit.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also many, many more opportunities that you can take completely for free if you apply yourself. So as far as growth opportunity, even outside resources are completely available. And in fact, most people are actually encouraging of it while you're in working in Publicis. So if there is any opportunity for growth, I think this would be the place for you to start.
Nate, did you go through the training program this year too?
The PMTP?
Yeah.
I think that might be the one place that just made me feel comfortable about coming into Publicis Media because I came from the military to tech, then now to into the media space, and I was completely clueless of everything that was going on, hence the entry level. And going into that program opened up a lot more avenues for me. At the end of it, I did a project working with Pepsi, and it was um, one of the best projects that I worked with as part of the entry level in Publicis. So that was great.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I have one final question for you all. So let's just take a moment to answer this. But as someone with a military background or familiar with hiring veterans, for your sake, Alexis, how do you think is the best way to approach building connections and, culture within your team or within the company as a whole?
Go ahead, Alexis, please.
Just say, I mean, for anybody to coming in, everybody here is so friendly and they're so approachable. So it's just don't get in your own head and don't be scared to say hi. Everyone here, we definitely have a great culture. It's so positive and people love to talk. People are so chatty here. So it's just say hi, just open those gates and the relationship will build.
Totally.
Yeah, I was
First
gonna.
thing, oh,
So
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
no, I was gonna say that advice applies broadly. I mean, if you're in the military community and you're looking to get into a role, especially if it's one you're not extremely familiar with, like the media industry, there are so many people. I mean, the all the panelists on this call right now included that would absolutely love to talk to you. But it's often, you holding yourself back. And I was very much in this boat of like, oh, I don't want to reach out to them on LinkedIn. Like they're so busy, they don't have any time, or 101 other reasons you can give yourself, all of which usually turn out not to be the case when you shoot someone a message and they reply in like 2 hours and like, yeah, let's hop on a call. So definitely do not bury yourself. And we also have a number of questions for you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Nate, was there any final thoughts that you wanted to share?
If you want to make any friends in Publicis, just ask a question to somebody who's been here. Just any question. I asked first person I asked was his name was Tommy, and I said all I did was, hey, what's the client location for Publicis? And since then, he's been my biggest support system in Publicis. So all you have to do is just simply ask, probably just the name, and you'll get some help.
Awesome. Yep. Connection is the name of the game. And I think you guys are taking a really great step at just coming to this event, this virtual event. I know on a Friday afternoon, it's kind of tricky. So we really do appreciate you showing up and just gaining us as resources. I think that little bit will go a long way. So thank you to our panelists so much for being here, for taking the time to share your experience from the company. You do have some time to stay on and help with questions. We'd love to have you. If you've got to jump, no problem. But thank you for being here.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Thank you both so much for coming on. Now we're not over just yet, so hold your horses.
Right. We got some questions.
One question we've been both emailed and asked on here is for folks going through the interview process. I know you said that, and this will answer one question while I ask this question. You don't need media specific experience. That's why they've got this fantastic training program. They want folks that have some analytical turn to them, but even if you don't have that, this training program will really give you a chance to develop it. The question that we've been asked is, for folks who are starting the interview process or applying to Publicis, what advice would you have specific to their interviews?
So I think it's important during interviews to be results oriented. So when you are having those discussions, talking about your experience, it's important to talk about, what you've done, but it's equally as important to talk about why that matters and how that's transferable to the industry. So, for example, if you have any project management experience, or really any transferable experience, giving more quantitative information or qualitative information around how your actions resulted in success overall. I really appreciate that as a recruiter. I'm sure, Alexis, you also can appreciate that. Just putting it into action and painting the picture, the story is super helpful, even if your experience is not media related, like we were saying.
Yeah, that's a great point. Connect the dots for us so we don't have to. Like, how does your experience relate to our posting? And I think another important thing for interviews, especially phone screens, is come prepared. You don't need to know everything about the company, but know a little bit about what they do and just show that I really care about this and I put in some time beforehand to prepare for it.
Super
Yep.
helpful. Yeah, and I think that that's, especially relevant for folks transitioning out of the service is you have experience that's relevant, whether you were in an arms room or you were an infantryman or whatever you've done. Is you can look at the job description and see like, okay, they want somebody with attention to detail who can handle analytical tasks, things like that. You could say, well, when I was in the arms room, like if I lost a pair of nods, nobody would go home for the night. So I was pretty good at, paying attention to detail and accounting for everything that needed to be there. I see the laugh starting. Yeah, I spent far too many nights on Fort Benning just waiting to find some piece of equipment. But that really does apply. And so I wouldn't say like, oh, I've never used Excel. Like I'm so done. There's no way I can get this job, because often that's not the case. You could, one, develop it on your own a little bit, but two, you could also find a way to connect the dots between what you have done and why that's relevant. Second question is for folks looking at more business or operations-esque roles in Publicis. I know that may be outside the associate roles, but where do those fall in the spectrum of brands that fall under the Publicis umbrella?
So Publicis is so vast. We do have opportunities in those areas. However, they just might not fall under my or Alexis's remit. But what you're welcome to do if you are interested in more of that side of things is visit our LinkedIn page under the job section. You can do keyword searching. You can also visit our career site and do keyword searching. You can filter it to your location. And if you find opportunities which you would like to put your foot in the door towards, you now have myself, Alexis, and my entire team as resources. So you're welcome to reach out. Let us know that you submitted an application and we can help get you connected to any one of those positions.
Awesome. That's super helpful. Scrolling down. Okay. And would you mind reiterating one more time the locations in which you all are looking for great candidates?
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of them. So no problem. I'm happy to reiterate that. So we are in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Detroit, Birmingham, Michigan. And then CJ has some offices in Santa Barbara, Boston. Alexis, what else? Where else?
I think those are the only two that are different.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, you have a great memory. I was expecting you to like pull up a sheet and read down it.
I'm like, there's a lot of different areas. So
Okay, I've got four more questions. Dominique, to your question, New York and LA are both places that Publicis is actively hiring.
Yep.
Devin asked if there's remote opportunities, and I believe they're in person, correct?
we are hybrid. So most of our employees come into the office 3 days a week, and Mondays are a required office day. And then the other 2 days of the week are worked remotely. Today is one of my remote days. We have some opportunities that are offered remote, but it is dependent on the position. It's dependent on the client team. So typically for associate level roles and internship level roles, you're going to be looking at a hybrid expectation. Is CJ pretty similar, Alexis?
Yeah, CJ's only hiring hybrid.
Okay. Yeah. So
Another question, are there available opportunities in technology for folks who want to go into, say, tech media? I like the way that question's phrased.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I was saying, yeah. Alexis, go ahead.
CJ is marketing tech. So I put my LinkedIn in the chat here and feel free to reach out to me if you want more information.
Yeah, so there definitely are technology opportunities. And funny enough, I've actually used a number of Publicis products or come in contact with units of Publicis. Like
Oh,
Publicis
wow.
Health Media was a very big company that the past company I worked at, Internet Brands, worked with. And Epsilon is a platform that I've used a bunch to
Yeah.
research media opportunities. And so it's really cool seeing kind of the crossover there. But Epsilon is definitely very tech heavy, and Alexis, it sounds like CJ is as well. And so
Mhm.
lots of opportunities there. Let's see. I know I had one more regarding the resume. I guess just broadly, when you're looking at a resume, let's talk specific kind of to these associate roles. What are, I guess, some things that really stand out to you in a good way, and then maybe a couple mistakes that folks make?
Okay. So I'm going to start with mistakes. It's important for us to know where you are, and also, if you are currently enrolled in school, we'd like to know when you're going to be available to start full time. So make sure that you're including information around, what city you're in and when your graduation is or when you'll be available to start full time. And then other mistakes I notice are just not, I would say, not giving yourself enough credit. I would say not including that qualitative, quantitative, results orientedness in your resume. I mean, ultimately, you're going to want to make sure that your experience somehow mirrors what would be expected of you in the media role. So, providing transferable skills and examples of that are important. So if you're lacking that, you won't be in the best place. And then I think what really helps to stand out is if you do have any campaign planning experience or certifications, whether that be Google certifications or Career Circle, Coursera, LinkedIn, give yourself credit for those. Any project work that you've done is certainly relevant outside of just general work experience. Anything to add to that, Alexis?
Yeah, I think too, if you're switching industries, cover letters can be helpful with your resume when applying, just because it can kind of tell more about your story and what you're looking for and how it's relative and relatable. Resume wise, I think something that helps is readability. So when we look at a resume, make sure that we can like a timeline of stories. It's not like confusing. Where does this fit in? That's really important, just so we can connect the dots.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think your other points were great.
Thank you. And I agree with all of yours too.
Super helpful. And uh, two more questions. Reginald, yes, we will definitely provide the contact info for you. We'll shoot out a post-event email to everyone who registered, because I know we've got like 50 or so folks who registered and couldn't make it on a Friday afternoon, given it's the day after Halloween. And
Fair enough.
think about that. But but yes, we will send. Maybe if we all dressed up as something, that would have really
I was
driven.
thinking of wearing a wig, but I didn't know if you all wanted to see me in the black wig. It's a little bit scary, so spared ya.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But yes, Reginald, we'll shoot out this recording to everyone who registered, all the open roles at Publicis, contact info for the folks here. So definitely you will get that. And thank you for the question on tech, the
And
tech.
Peter, quick call out for you. We just changed our applicant tracking system, so I need to send you some new links to our
Yeah,
application.
I'm
So I'll
happy
do
to
that
do
today.
that. Everybody can see the work happening in real time.
Fine.
Yeah, another question is, when does the training take place? Is it immediately post-hire full time, or how does that look?
So it takes place 3 different times a year. One of the programs runs in January, the next would be in June, and the next is in September. So let's say that you were hired at kind of an awkward period where, for example, the last program just started in September. So anybody who was hired after that program started between then and then the January program won't be enrolled in the training program, right? So what we do offer is a 1 week version of the program that'll take place pretty much every other month. And you're able to just learn all of the basics, such as media math, Excel 101, PowerPoint, media planning, media buying. So it takes about 10 hours out of your 40-hour week. again, built into your workday. You are not going to be working on that program outside of your workday. And then once the program officially kicks off in January, you can go ahead and opt out of any of the courses that you took during the Kickstart version.
That is super helpful. One more is, I guess I'll ask two, are there one roles in DC and then two, are there associate roles there? I believe the closest associate role would be in Philadelphia, which is 2.5 hours. So
definitely Philadelphia or New York are probably the closest. We may have some remote opportunities out there, so I would encourage you to keyword search on the website if that's a location you're interested in, but it wouldn't be under mine or Alexis's remit.
got it. Super helpful. I believe that is the last question that we have with pretty impeccable timing.
We had a good time, didn't we, everybody?
Then within 4 minutes there. That was all planned, attention to detail.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So for those who did attend, thank you so much for coming on a Friday afternoon and spending a little bit of time with Boots to Books and the Publicis team. Anna, Nate, Alexis, thank you all so much for coming on and sharing some great tips and opportunities as well to start a career at Publicis. It's super, super helpful. We'll make sure to share this out to all the folks who signed up. And to everybody who asked a question or was looking for contact info or a way to apply, you will get an email from Boots to Books with all the relevant information by the end of the weekend. We just have to update some links, it appears. But again, thanks so much for coming, and we really hope to see some of you get hired at Publicis.
Yes, we do. And also, I will email Peter that QR code if anybody wants to opt into our email list. We'll be sending information on the internship opportunity once that goes live. And we also have a newsletter in case you just want to proactively learn more about the company. So I'll be sure to circulate that to Peter as well.
Awesome. That sounds great. Hope everybody has an amazing weekend.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy Halloween if you're celebrating this weekend. I am.
Be well, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.